Hello, welcome. Tonight is a short little piece on Hong Kong. I have in my journal, took photos. Somewhere along the way, I took a lot of photos. I think I took them all out, put them in a folder that has like cities or something in it, and I have no idea where that folder is. So we have very few photos tonight, but a few stories. All right. So I had a contact of a name that I had hoped to stay with when I got to Hong Kong, but as you may have guessed on some of the other stories, that the contact turned out not to be someone that was around. So fortunately, on the plane over, I was talking to the guy sitting next to me in the same aisle seat, and his name was Michael. He'd lived there. He was from the U.S., but he'd lived in Hong Kong for a couple years. He told me where places to go, cheap things to how to get around. So I went to the Y, which was only $19 a night. The taxi there was $2 from the airport over. Transportation was very cheap. I went to breakfast the next morning downstairs at the Y. It was $1.50 for a really great Spanish omelet, fries, which they call chips, and a side of corn, carrot, and peas. Then I took the ferry. Next day. Took the ferry. First class was 70 cents. Went over and met Michael and his girlfriend. We went to Stanley Market. One of the things that was really interesting, when you're at a restaurant, you pick a table that you like. Then you go stand at that table. There's not a hostess. You don't wait in the room somewhere else. You go say, I like that table over there by the window. So you go stand right over the people that are sitting at the table. The whole time they're eating, you just stand there. You have your conversations. They're sitting right below you, and they have their conversations. Then somebody else might say, oh, well, I really like that table too. So they come stand up right behind you. When the people that are sitting at the table get up to leave, you sit down, they move in closer to you. So you just pick whatever table you want, and you see how many people are standing in line in front of you. So it was a kind of a interesting way to eat. You have to get used to people just hovering over your shoulder, and ignore them because they want you to hurry up. But everybody knows that's the way it is. So that's just the way it goes. They're not pushy or anything about it. Just a very different way to eat. We went up to Victoria Peak afterwards. We went up there not to watch the sunset. Whoops, that one's upside down. Let's see if I can get it back. It's going to go really bright, sorry. We went up to Victoria Peak, not so much to watch the sunset, but to watch all the lights come on. I think this is from over there. I went to several places while I was in Hong Kong, but Victoria Peak is a really well-known high area. And when you're up there, just everywhere around you, 360, these lights start popping on through the night. As the night comes on, it's really beautiful. We also saw some people windsurfing, which was pretty amazing to me because basically Hong Kong water is raw sewage. They said the area where we were was a little bit better, but it's still pretty resilient of people to want to get out there and windsurf. The next day, I went wandering around the city, different parts of it. And the harbor at that point in time was packed with all of these little junk, I can't remember exactly how they called them, boats. There was a restaurant out there that I went to. It was probably about 4 stories tall. There was 3 barges connected to each other. It had been really pretty at night, but in the daytime it looked so sketchy. In fact, Michael had told me that there were food poisonings out there all the time. So I just went as a tourist. I was not going to eat. Let's see. He also told me that a few months before they'd had a fire in the harbor and it burned 150 or 175 boats. 1,600 people were left homeless because of that. So it was the harbor was packed with humanity, and all of it was just everything, whatever they did, was going straight into the harbor there. Let's see. I will read a short piece. I went to Lantu. I took the ferry over there. It was really beautiful. It was about an hour and a half ride. The place must have been really nice before people and pollution. There's very little vegetation on the slopes. It's just brown hay. Is that because it's winter? Why are there no trees? So I took a bus to the Paolin Temple. I thought I was going to have to walk up there, but the bus went all the way. It's extremely steep and a really, really beautiful location. There were quite a few temples up there that were really pretty. No idea where those slides are. Oops, and that is another junk boat, but it's on its head. So then I finished that tour, and I ran back to the Star Ferry. I ran to the Y. I ran in and out of the shower. I ran to the Y restaurant and waited to get something, but there was nobody there, so I grabbed a sandwich out of the case. I ran to the Star Ferry and just missed one, but they're very frequent, so got on another one, ran to City Hall for the concert. I had about 3 minutes to spare before it started. I was seated on the front row of the second tier. It was only $13 US dollars. It was a great concert. The piano piece, Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody, on a theme of Paganini, Opus 43, was excellent. The man on the piano, his hands were hypnotizing. There were 4 different pieces, and only one had the piano. I spoke to my sister later that, I guess that evening, because of the difference in time frame, what they learned, and one of the big family jokes was, click call Hong Kong, you accept. Click call Hong Kong, you accept. If they couldn't understand anything the operator was saying, they knew that I was on the other end of the line, and the operator was asking them to accept a collect call. So whenever they heard, they would say yes. So I talked to my sister and told her about that piano piece that had gone up and like all this amazing beautifulness, and then it dropped to one note and another note. And she very wisely said, sounds a lot like your life. So I spent some more time in Hong Kong shopping than I expected to, and found a lot of cheap things. There was a lot of bargaining going on because it was the new year, so everybody believed they had to have good luck. If I was the first person to go into the store, they would basically almost give me anything away that day because they felt like they needed to have good luck for the rest of the year. I had a hard time finding some things, sweaters and coats, because I have long arms to begin with, but most of the people in Hong Kong, the shoppers there, are shorter than I am. So I tried on all these wonderful coats that looked almost like 3/4 length sleeves on me. My dad had slipped me $100 bill when I left for this trip over to Australia. They did not know. I had in the back of my head that I wanted to go to Hong Kong. I had been to China before, but we didn't get down there, and I really wanted to go check it out and see. So one of the things I bought when I was hanging around shopping was a freshwater pearl necklace and matching earrings that I thought of as from my dad, although I certainly did not have to pay $100 US for it. Like I said, the city was celebrating its New Year when I was there. It was all lit up. It was really beautiful. And this is a very festive neon that they had everywhere. All right, that's it for Hong Kong. Ciao, ciao, ciao.